Money was back before the next game. I'm with Wachovia.
We're at.
Joe Marbach is a PhD, acting dean, College of Arts and Sciences and political scientist at Seton Hall University, and a good friend. Joe, good to see you.
Good to be here, Steve. Thanks.
We're not going to go backwards as we did with Joe Cummins. We're going to deal with where we are right now. By the way, taping on Valentine's Day 2008. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you.
But there's not a lot of love going around in the presidential. You like that transition? Not a lot of love going around. Let me do this. If you're predicting right now, put you on the spot because this show is going to air for months. Is it Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama who runs against John McCain?
I think ultimately it'll be Hillary Clinton because of the superdelegates.
You do?
Yeah. 700, almost 800 superdelegates.
What are they? And I don't want to assume people know what superdelegates are.
Superdelegates are elected officials in the Democratic Party and also party officials who come from the different states. So they are professional politicians. And I think at the end of the day, many of them have been courted by the Clintons for decades. And I think that those are the chits that she's going to call in to pull out.
Well, let me ask you this. Whether Obama or Clinton is the candidate, we will find out. Question. What is it about Barack Obama, whether he wins the nomination or not, that has captured the imagination of so many, including those of us in the media?
Well, I think it's his style. I mean, he brings a new perspective. He's a fresh face. He's articulate and dynamic. His presentations are inspiring. He looks forward rather than back, and there's not a lot of policy rhetoric in his tone as we see him.
I mean, he doesn't talk a lot about issues in detail?
Exactly. He talks about larger pictures, and then we'll fill in the blanks. You contrast him with Hillary Clinton, and you get the details of policy. You know, she's a policy wonk, and she
can't... Is that bad in a campaign?
In a campaign, it is.
Why? Don't people want to know, hey, don't just gloss over, tell me exactly how you're going to do this? And she says, that's what I do. That's bad in a campaign?
Well, it's bad when you're doing a television campaign and you've got 30 seconds for a soundbite. And how does it come across to inspire people when that's going to be how they're exposed? For folks who get into it in a little bit more detail, it's great to get into the policy details. You know, and healthcare is one where we've seen the distinction between Obama and Clinton. Clinton says healthcare for everyone. Obama says healthcare for mostly everyone. You can opt in or opt out.
You think the average person is sitting there going, let me analyze their respective healthcare policies?
I don't think so.
You don't?
And I think the shades of differences are blurred.
Well, let's do this. We'll talk about McCain in a little bit because he is, in fact, going to be the Republican nominee. Fascinating candidate. But how about this? There are some issues in campaigns, Joe, that are going to be timeless. We could actually air this after the campaign. It would be relevant. What is a 527 and why is it important?
527, and it relates in part to John McCain because of his McCain-Feingold reforms with regard to the elections. 527s have become important since McCain-Feingold.
Are they organizations?
They are political organizations, tax-exempt political organizations, whose focus is voter mobilization and issue advocacy. So you can contribute money to these organizations. They're in the exempt status.
Don't pay taxes.
Don't pay taxes. They spend money then on issues or to mobilize voters.
Let me get this straight. On issues and mobilizing voters. Wasn't it a so-called 527 in 2004 that did those series of swift boat spots that in many ways derailed and destroyed John Kerry's presidential campaign in talking about what he did or didn't do as a war hero? As
a war hero, right.
That's issue advocacy?
They also can engage in a degree of electioneering.
And Does it say you could be allowed in character assassination?
That's in the eyes of the beholder. But you just had your segment with Joe Cummins and
yes, go ahead.
How that goes.
So what are the limitations?
Well, there aren't many because it's free speech. And these organizations can use their forum to advocate for issues, and then they link them to the candidates who, in fact, are in favor or opposed to the issues that they're advocating for.
Is this a good thing?
Well, it's been used to an extreme, and many would argue that it's not necessarily a good thing because there is no truth meter. And the claims that these organizations can make are not easily verifiable. There's no objective truth that you can judge them against. So it is very problematic.
Why can't someone say, well, what you're saying isn't true? Why is it so hard?
Well, you need other advocacy groups to come out and say that. And it depends who has the most money and who's got the message across to be loud.
You know what's hard about this is a good friend of mine who's an accountant. We're in the middle of tax season, and he actually called me the other day, and he said, you know, I'm frustrated by this presidential campaign. He asked me, is there a website? My friend Joe Lupo, you know who you are. He said, is there a website I can go to where I can find out the truth about the people in this campaign?
The best website is run by a group called the Center for Responsive Politics, opensecrets.org.
Say it again?
Opensecrets, all one word, .org.
Can we do that in the control room just as we're talking? Opensecrets.org, as Joe's talking about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, they track all the money that's going into these different candidates. They track what 527 groups are doing. There are other nonprofit groups, 501Cs, and that gets into the whole IRS thing,
Go ahead.
that can get involved in political actions, but on a limited sense. And then there are also political action committees, which are the political arms of organizations like labor unions, like Microsoft, like lawyers' organizations.
But actually, by the way, thanks in the control room, guys. Open Secrets, as it's up right here. Someone wants to find out who's funding something, whether something's accurate or not. Opensecrets.org.
You can go there, and they'll do each of the races individually. They do state races, break it down even to some local races.
John McCain. And again, I don't want to do horse race stuff. You can turn to a lot of the other networks for this, for what's going on today. This is bigger picture stuff. I'm fascinated by this whole question of, is he a quote-unquote true conservative? And I don't want to get into arcane discussions of it, but I'm fascinated by the fact that a guy who was pro-life, a guy who supports now apparently the Bush tax cuts, a guy who supported the Iraq War even in the face of tremendous public opposition. Explain to me again, and it's been tough in terms of government spending, explain to me again what a true conservative really means.
Well, I guess you'd have to ask Rush Limbaugh and some of the talk radio.
And Limbaugh says he's not a true conservative. Ann Coulter, who is a real class act, Ann Coulter is saying, I'm saying that facetiously, Ann Coulter says, I hate McCain so much. In fact, Hillary Clinton is more of a conservative than he is. And if she were to win the nomination, I would vote for him. And I imagine she would vote for the same thing, do the same thing with Obama. Why is there so much hatred toward McCain, a hero?
Yeah, I guess it's because of some of the large issues that conservatives have been behind. He's taken a step back. The Bush tax cuts that he voted against continuing at one point. McCain-Feingold, which put limits on... Campaign finance, which put some limits on campaigns and what can be spent in those areas.
What about immigration?
His immigration has been a big issue, looking for ways of assimilating the immigrants that exist already here. How do we put them on a path toward citizenship?
So let me get this straight. So a quote-unquote true conservative position in the minds of many, Limbaugh and Coulter and others, is build the wall, 12, 13 million Americans who are here illegally, get rid of them and stop everyone else. That's the conservative position as opposed to the nutty position?
That's the extreme position, yeah, within thought of the conservative party.
And if McCain doesn't hold that, he's not really a conservative.
Yeah, McCain doesn't hold it. And it's also interesting that George Bush didn't hold that position either, but he wasn't attacked as vehemently as John McCain.
Why are you so fascinated in politics? You.
Why am I?
Yeah, like what's the hook for you?
Well, I look at it as the way of having an impact on society and where we live and how we live. And I've always been interested in studying that and trying to get a handle on it because, in my mind, government is the only institution that can take away your fundamental liberties and get away with it. Life, liberty, property. Government can take your life, can take your property, can put you in jail, and it gets away with it. And so I want to study that institution, learn about that institution, try to move it in the right direction.
You know, in about a minute or so we have left. Media, 24/7, obsessed with polls in the horse race. Do we help or hurt?
I think it's somewhat detrimental because it does place such an emphasis on who's ahead and who's behind rather than what are the important, significant issues that need to be addressed and what are the policies that these candidates are advocating and how will that analysis lead to benefit society or not benefiting society instead of he's up 2 points, he's up 3 delegates, she's up 10,000 votes here.
Why do we do that? Is the horse race a lot easier to cover because it's a numbers game? It's like a sports event.
Sure. Public policy is complicated. How do you cover public policy issues?
Healthcare, tough topic.
How do you cover it in 3 minutes? Very difficult, but you have to simplify it. And when you start to simplify, that's when you can run into some problems because the devil's in the details.
It's interesting. 30 seconds. Internet. More and more younger people. And you teach You're the acting dean up there at the university at Seton Hall. More and more young people not getting it from TV, getting it from?
The internet, exactly. YouTube. If you look at more and more candidates are announcing their candidacy on YouTube rather than on the standard media.
What does that say?
It's the media of the future, and that's what people are tuning into. Young people in particular are tuning into, and it's having an effect. They're coming out, they're voting, they're getting active.
Joe Marbach, promise you'll come back many times throughout the campaign and Democracy Works and help make sense of all the craziness in presidential politics.
Always
Great job,
my pleasure,
Joe.
Steve. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
One-on-One with Steve Audabato's Democracy Works is brought to you by the New Jersey Carpenter Contractor Trust, New Jersey Natural Gas, Qualcare Inc., Monmouth University, the Fund for New Jersey, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, Community Education Centers, the St. Barnabas Healthcare System, Hill Wallach LLP, Johnson & Johnson, the New Jersey Education Association, Josh and Judy Weston, and the Provident Bank. Additional funding has been provided by these public-spirited organizations.
Important decisions are being made in Washington that will affect all of us. Democracy Works explores the democratic process while educating citizens about the challenges facing our elected officials. That's why we're proud to help create an informed electorate by supporting Democracy Works. Thanks for watching.